Hey everyone, welcome back to GameGear TV. I'm Doug, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Logitech G910 Orion Spectrum keyboard. Now the G910 is Logitech's flagship keyboard, coming in at $180, and they sell it in two varieties, the Orion Spectrum, which is what I have, and the Orion Spark. The biggest differences between the two is the palm rest and the keycaps. The Spectrum has a straight palm rest and what I'll say are traditional keycaps, and the Spark uses a funky palm rest design and has very aggressive, deep grooved keycaps. So I went with the Spectrum, and I've been using it for the last couple of weeks, and I have to say there are some things about this keyboard that have just really grown on me. Some great features here, but there's some other things that are just kind of strange design choices on Logitech's part that I'm not a huge fan of, but I'll talk about all of that in more detail. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what we have. The G910 is a full-featured keyboard. It comes with full media controls and a fairly nice volume scroll wheel. It has macro keys, full number pad, a gaming mode, USB pass-through, phone app support, and a suite of RGB settings. It's by no means a small keyboard and is bulkier on the top and side than it needs to be. The build feels sturdy, but the body is completely made of plastic. Visually, it's fairly standard fare, and it doesn't really stand out from the crowd in any meaningful way. Due to the traditional keycap design, the RGB only shines through the top of the keys. It looks good for what it does, and the LED is placed in the center of the key for a nice even color. I'm not a huge fan of the art design on the WASD, Arrow, and G keys. This has no bearing on the performance of the board, but it's just not to my taste. The cover of the palm rest is removable. The top of the keyboard is a place for you to dock your phone when used in conjunction with the mobile software. The cable of the keyboard is non-attachable and isn't braided, which I would have preferred. When I first started testing the G910, I really wasn't impressed with the ergonomics. The palm rest has a steep angle, and I generally prefer a full wrist rest. It's definitely grown on me the more I've used it though. The G910 uses Logitech's Roamer G tactile switches, which I think feel really good. The bump is very easy to overcome while still providing enough feedback. They're not super loud, and I was able to average about 95 words per minute, and I'm pretty pleased with that. Logitech lists the actuation force at 45 grams with an actuation point at 1.5 millimeters and a total travel of 3 millimeters. For gaming, the keys feel smooth and responsive with full key rollover. My fingers find my intended keys with ease, and I have not had any issues accidentally hitting the macro G keys on the left side. With the steep palm rest, I do feel fatigue from longer sessions quicker than on other keyboards I've used, but still not too bad. If you use macros, there are 9 dedicated macro keys with 3 profiles you can quickly switch between, so you should be covered there. There's also a macro record button for setting up macros on the fly. For software, Logitech is using its G Hub, which is fairly clean, minimalistic, and easy to use. The first tab is all about lighting. It has all the usual preset options such as solid, color, color cycle, wave, which can be customized several different ways, breathing, starlight, and reactive presses. It also has a screen sampling option which tries to match and zone your keys to what's happening on the screen. It can get close-ish and can be kind of neat when there's a lot of colorful things happening on the screen. But for the most part, I prefer some of the other settings. There's also an audio visualizer with some advanced features to tie further into your audio experience, so that's kind of cool there. In addition to the presets, you can customize the RGB per key to your liking and save multiple options. Then there's an animation section where you can select from presets like a lightning effect or an ocean effect that mimics water moving over sand. And you can also create your own animations. So you can really have a lot of fun with the RGB and set up just about however you want. The only things you can't change the color of is the macro profile keys, which have a static orange, and the media keys, which are static blue. On the second tab of the software, you can assign just about any command, single key, or macro to the 9 G keys under the different profiles. There's also support for Discord and other apps. The G910 will also preload settings for supported games such as Kingdom Come Deliverance. Changing the key functions and setting up macros is a breeze, to include G-Shift, which allows you to put secondary functions on the keys when you use the G-Shift key, wherever you set that up to be. My only real disappointment with key functionality is you can only program to the G keys. There's no option to remap any of the other keys or give them G-Shift functions, which would have been a nice touch. On the last tab is Game Mode, which allows you to disable any key you don't want to accidentally press while in games, such as Alt-tabbing out or Windows, whatever you decide. The Game Mode key is at the top of the keyboard by the media controls. In addition to the desktop app, you can run ARX or ARX control on a mobile device. There's a pull-out dock on the keyboard where you can set your phone in there to run ARX. If you happen to have an ARX supported game, Logitech advertises you can have some integration there, like a second screen kind of thing going on. None of my games auto-detected to be supported, so I didn't mess with it. You can also monitor your PC stats, such as CPU, GPU, and RAM usage if you want that. And you can also open another set of media controls. The only thing these controls really gain you is a dedicated microphone mute button, as all of the other controls are already on the keyboard. I don't feel the need to use ARX, but it is there if you like that sort of thing. I do want to point out that ARX wouldn't connect to my phone and my computer unless I installed Logitech's gaming software, or LGS, which is separate from G-Hub. G-Hub is the newer software that Logitech encourages you to use, and if you launch LGS with G-Hub installed, it actually forces you to switch over to G-Hub. I didn't need to actually get into LGS for it to unlock the support for ARX, it just had to be installed. So it's not a huge deal, but now I have two separate pieces of software installed for the same thing. All in all, the G910 Spectrum is a good keyboard. I do really like the Roamer G switches. They're just really smooth and I like how they feel. But I'm not a huge fan of the physical design of the keyboard. It's bulky, it's overly gamery in the artwork that they did on the keycaps. And the plastic material isn't anything premium. There's other boards at this price point that just do a little bit more as far as the physical design goes. I think it's a bit of a bummer that you can't change the color of the media keys or the macro profile keys. But again, it is a good keyboard. It has the features that you really need from a flagship keyboard in this price point. Despite the overall use of materials and the physical design, there's really nothing wrong with this keyboard. What Logitech has done is provided a solid system from the software and the physical hardware. It all just works well together. So there's really not a whole lot to complain about here. It's just in this really competitive market of premium keyboards, this doesn't really do anything special to stand out. So if you like Logitech products or you get this on a good sale, don't regret it. It's going to be a good purchase for you. But if you're just looking for something more unique that does all the things that this does, there's other stuff out there that's going to have, more unique stuff about it. So that wraps up this review. I hope you found it useful. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see on the channel, other stuff that you'd like to see me review or talk about. I always have new gear that I'm testing, so be sure to come back and check out those reviews in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.